Most beloved Presidente, do you remember Tropico? Emerald palm trees, platinum beaches, and crystalline seas, from which the sun reflects like the twinkling of jewels and golden coins.
Having to abide by a cruel dictator's way of life is something you get used to when you work on Rock Paper Shotgun's video team. Now that I've had my work appraisal for 2018, I can safely say things like that. Our great leader recently gave me Tropico 6 to play, and I've been sinking a lot of time into it. And time, thankfully, is the only thing that's been sinking. No deaths or shipwrecks on my watch, unless you call my money management a shipwreck.
The bad news is that it is for runaway national debt.
I'm used to living on an island here in the United Kingdom. We're even made up of multiple islands. So Tropico 6 introducing archipelagos is no strange thing. But it is a new thing. But is it a good thing? Well, I'm going to talk through what does and doesn't work in Tropico 6. If at the end of this you think the video is a good thing, why not subscribe and give it a like? But only if we've earned it. I'm not a mad dictator telling you what to do. In broad terms, Tropico 6 isn't a radical reinvention of the tropical paradise simulator, but an attempt to find the depth that was lost in Tropico 5's streamlined world. You'll find a long list of missing features returned. Good to see election speeches and work modes helping you finesse your political career and how the wider world functions. And there's a sense of more elements being simulated, especially with regards to people struggling under your regime. Workers have to physically be in their place of work for it to be fully functional, and it adds a huge wrinkle. For starters, you must police their needs so they can get a healthy work-life balance going, something most YouTubers can learn a thing or two from. But there's a more basic challenge of actually getting them to their place of work. If the infrastructure of the island doesn't hold up, facilities run out of steam. This is especially obvious when you're waiting on a library to generate research points, but workers are in a pub or getting drunk on religion. You could ban faith and fun, but it might get messy. These needs existed before, but as a city building game it puts much more emphasis on how an island functions as a working place, which is an angle of the game I'm more interested in. Factor in how infrastructure options evolve in different eras, with tunnels and chairlifts going under or over mountains, and it's a much more solid city builder than you might expect. It's let down by some wonkiness that hasn't been ironed out over the extensive beta phase though. There are still issues with roads being thrown off by tiny bumps in the environment, for example, forcing you to take a hammer to wider plans to fix it. Small, fussy problems that need to be ironed out as soon as possible. Where the focus on infrastructure really blossoms is with the new focus on archipelagos. The biggest shift in Tropico 6 is away from a large island to mould your desire towards a series of smaller landmasses that have to learn to play nice. Visually, it gives the game a distinctive look compared to earlier entries, with lots of little clumps of industry floating in a massive glittering wet. But if it's kind on the eyes, it's less friendly on the wallet. Islands means loads of roads, loads of bridges, and loads of ports, just to fulfill one simple need. In fact, the desire to expand too quickly can provide a huge strain on funds, making Tropico 6 slightly trickier in its early hours than you might expect. If you're needing workers at the arse end of another island, you're going to have to get them there one way or another. Without buses, cable cars, metros or cars in the early eras, it gets a little tricky. And those travel to work times are so important for a successful, thriving city. Expansion adds so many extra challenges that it's easy to ignore the other islands for those first few hours. I was definitely hesitant to move on from where I started, sticking close and keeping things moving swiftly. But when you begin to see the islands for what they are, often rich in specific resources, and not just treating them as more land but far away, you can start to plan a network of farming islands, energy islands, prison islands, and it feels really satisfying. There are 15 mission maps and 15 more in Sandbox, and they all come with different styled, shaped and sized archipelago maps. The difficulty is very dependent on what natural constraints the island you're working on has, but it keeps the game fresh and exciting by giving you new obstacles to tackle and doesn't allow you to build similar cities again and again. Working out archipelagos is something that makes Tropico 6 stand out from other city management games, where you have a set space to work with and no way of unlocking more space. Of course, all your plans can go out the window when a superpower turns up and wants you to impress them with coal from the arse end of the map. The things we do to impress the bigger kids, eh? Maybe it's a result of those extra archipelago demands, but I definitely find Tropico 6 a bit disjointed when it comes to balancing the theoretical fantasy of building an island paradise and the stress of actually making that dream a reality. On paper, it's no different to previous games. Success in Tropico means keeping people happy, or at the very least functioning. It means keeping your economy afloat, a little ocean joke for you there. And it means being re-elected as El Presidente throughout the eras. Because without power, you're just someone with an impressive beard and a weird working knowledge of bus route planning. It can be zen and chilled building a place, especially in sandbox mode where you don't have the weird conditions of the campaign's missions to meet. But beneath the simple sand hides all the jagged objects you don't want to step on. Pressure piles on with factions and superpowers asking for favours, often asking for help at the same time and forcing you to choose one. They all have massively varied opinions on everything, and it feels messy to me. Though perhaps that's just an accurate depiction of power. It feels very real and sad for a big hippie like me when you realise that the environmentalist way of doing things is rarely going to be the most beneficial. To strengthen ties with a superpower, they'll probably ask you for a trade deal, and if that's an export, it's down to you to fulfill that. This could all come with a cost, overworking or underpaying your workers, or bending the rules in other ways, which will most likely affect your standing with your people and therefore make it less likely for you to be re-elected. I don't think the game accurately captures the excitement of being a growing nation on the international stage though. With all this business managed through menus, there's little sense of the world beyond your little corner of the ocean. If anything, it's like having very aggressive neighbours who communicate through passive-aggressive notes the whole time. As I said before, it's not a radical reworking, but paired with a slightly tighter budget, it adds up to make Tropico 6 surprisingly hard. I'm sure there are plenty of Tropico wizards who'll shrug it off, but as a more casual dabbler, I found this a real challenge. Increasing standing, gaining immigrants, unlocking blueprints, or earning money feels hard-earned. The best bit is winning an election and knowing full well you fed your population a diet of solid bullshit. Sounds like British politics. I should get a job with Private Eye for smoking hot satire like that. One element that definitely helps you get your head around the game, especially if you are new to this series or have been away for a long time, is the way each campaign mission focuses you on a specific element of the wider Tropico ecosystem. Yes, every mission involves the general busy work of managing day-to-day life, but each offers a scenario that digs deeper into a couple of core ideas. In our earlier video, we showed off shacklands, where all property more advanced than a shack has been banned, forcing you to try and generate happiness in a land of wooden hovels. Another one might challenge you to bring a lawless island back to order while also trying to push through shady deals by earning Swiss money that can be used to employ the broker. On a side note, this character is a neat little addition, letting you spend El Presidente's Swiss bank account savings on influential actions, giving that money a purpose beyond feeding into your eventual score. I also like the chocolate factory mission for obvious reasons. Who wouldn't want to set themselves up as a Willy Wonka-style candy baron? Sadly, Tropico doesn't let you sign an edict that forces your workers to sing Oompa Loompa songs. While that is a missed opportunity, it is a tasty lesson in production chains and exports. I'm a big fan of building games that give their campaigns a bit more purpose beyond do that again but bigger. It's good to be pushed towards ideas in a game you might not choose to connect with. It gives the world a much needed bit of purpose. Another mission, Pirate King, tasks you with getting your head around the new raid system. This deserves a point of its own. Tropico 6 has buildings which allow you to raid other countries, one of which is an actual pirate cove. This gives you the option to heist world wonders, loot various materials, or hunt for other treasures. You can also, rescue educated citizens, which definitely isn't a polite way of saying kidnap. It's also a nice feeling to have repeating tasks ticking away in the background, even if none of these actions appear to have any weight on how others view you. I mean, stealing a world wonder means you literally take a famous landmark and bring it back to the island. Not only is it good to spice up your boring jungle with the Statue of Liberty, but wonders bestow special bonuses that can help you out in a pinch. But it is weird how no one has gone, hey wait, they just stole the Stonehenge, what the f***? Let's go get it back. In fact, this means war. Now, maybe this is because Stonehenge is secretly a huge pain in the ass. If you live near it, like I do, then you are always getting stuck in traffic because people like to drive by slowly taking pictures, as if they've never seen an old rock before. Seriously, I wish a Banana Republic would steal it. It would make getting to Salisbury a whole lot easier. Sorry, I'm getting distracted. What I meant to say was that keeping war at bay is actually very simple, and it seems a little too easy to appease different people with different requests, some of which I'm sure would be less easy to appease if they cared about those people you're kidnapping or those world wonders you've stolen. As I mentioned before with the superpowers, it's so easy to get lost in the idea that you are the only people on the planet. You can't see any other islands, your ships come and go, and your threats and requests just seem to be a little unimportant, even though they're not. Because it's so easy to pretend you're in a bubble of niceness. If you're playing nice, that is. Tropico has never been one to shy away from the stupid and ridiculous humour, although Tropico 5 did feel a little wide of the mark on this front. Thankfully, 6 is back on form. It is weird and wonderful and a warm hug of expectation from the series. It also helps soften the blow of the political jargon that had me googling a few terms because I'd forgotten what they meant. I have a very surface level of interest and knowledge in politics, but I can imagine for those wanting a calm city builder, this is not what you'd expect. Chirper from City Skylines certainly doesn't expect you to understand real-world politics. The Great Penultimo is the friendliest face you'll come across, unless you count Sunny Flowers the environmentalist, because who doesn't love a happy-go-lucky hippie who only wants to save the world? Penultimo is a breath of fresh air after you've had the Western powers breathing down your neck to export meat, or the broker begging you to set up an export of cars. Which, by the way, requires so many different things. But no matter how technical the idea is, everything is handled with a pun or two and a few cheesy one-liners. Even your election speeches have scattered funny moments throughout.
But soon, everyone will know the names of all their diseases.
It's a very nice feeling after the genuine stress of trying to keep so many people and parties happy. Get past the jargon and work out how to oppress people without depressing them, and it slots into place. You realise which factions you should say yes to, and you stop blindly trying to buddy up with everyone. I like that you can turn yourself into a pacifist state to virtually avoid any confrontation, i.e. wars, as that adds a whole other level of stress. If I can't deal with cocoa plants, I shouldn't be trusted with missiles. Tropico 6 is definitely a game for people who like to city build, read a lot, and make decisions. And I, for one, am terrible at decisions. I'm basically Chidi from The Good Place, but with more sweat and less intelligence.
5 workers on this track and 1 over there. Here are the levers to switch the tracks. Make a choice.
The thing is, ethically speaking...
No time, dude! Make a decision!
Well, it's tricky!
Man, Chidi would blow at Tropico 6. Me, however, I got over my fear of making the wrong decision when I realised I could keep most of the people I wanted to keep sweet. It's a city builder with a lot of meat to it. And that can be happy meat if you want to appease the environmentalists. There's a bit more going on in Tropico 6 than I personally like in a city builder. There's not much relaxation in the campaign, and it flourishes in Sandbox, where unlimited money saw the game come into its own for me. Saying that, I was able to sink way too many hours into it and get lost in the world it creates for you. I felt a connection with my people and I wanted what was best for them. Most of the time, anyway. I'm really bad at budgeting, okay? I also want what's really best for you and this channel. So if you did enjoy today's video, please do like it and subscribe to Rock Paper Shotgun for more videos like this one. If you're into building games, we've recently covered 2 Point Hospital's latest DLC and Foundation. Do check those out if you're into that kind of thing, which I'm assuming you are as you're watching a video about Tropico 6. Thanks for watching and I hope to see you again soon.